So most people think hacking ends the moment you get access. In professional penetration testing, that's exactly where the real assessment begins. This is Raed Ahsan, and in this video, we are going to deep dive into post-exploitation and persistence techniques, along with practical Kali Linux demonstrations that you can safely practice on your own virtual machines. And everything you see here in this video is strictly for educational purposes, for defensive security, and for authorized learning environments. So let's start with phase one, the situational awareness after the initial access. So once the access is achieved, the first responsibility of a penetration tester is situational awareness. We are not rushing into tools. We are first understanding where we are and what level of access we actually have. And some commands, like the ones I'm using now, these commands help us answer basic but the critical questions. Who am I? What privileges do I have? What system am I on? And what kernel or operating system am I dealing with here? Now let's understand some network awareness. The commands that I've listed here, at this stage, we are identifying the internal network visibility, open services, and potential pivot paths. Because post-exploitation is not just about noise, it's about clarity. Now, coming to our phase two, the privilege escalation. This is one of the most misunderstood areas in penetration testing. And because this is not just about brute force or random exploitation, this is about misconfigurations, weak permissions, and poor system hardening. Now, this command tells us whether the current user has elevated privileges that were never intended. And here we are reviewing running processes to identify services running with higher privileges. SUID binaries are a classic example of how trust relationships inside systems can be abused if not managed correctly. At this stage, a professional penetration tester starts documenting the risk, not just the chaos. Moving on to credential exposure awareness. One of the most dangerous outcomes of post exploitation is credential exposure. Not because someone is hacking, but because someone made a mistake. Configuration files, backups, and leftover files are one of the most common causes of full environment compromise. Command history often reveals more than people realize. Let's move on to phase 4, the persistence. Persistence is one of the most sensitive phases in ethical hacking because in penetration testing, persistence is not about maintaining the control. It is about testing whether access can survive normal system operations or not. For example, the command I've input here, reviewing user account helps identify unauthorized access, poor account management, and monitoring the gaps. Scheduled tasks are common persistence vector, which is why defenders must monitor them really closely. And as penetration testers, we observe and validate. We do not leave malicious mechanisms behind. Moving on to phase 5, the log and detection awareness. Post exploitation is where detection capabilities are truly tested. Logs are the backbone of incident response. If post-exploitation activities goes unnoticed, the problem is not the attacker, it's the visibility. Now let's understand our phase 6, the cleanup and professional responsibility. A real pen tester always cleans up after an engagement. No backdoors, no artifacts, no shortcuts. What we leave behind is documentation, evidence, and recommendations, not the access. Now, if you want to practice post exploitation the right way, use legal platforms like TryHackMe, Hack the Box Academy, VulnHub, or local vulnerable machines. Focus on understanding output, documenting the findings, and explaining the business impact. That's what separates learning from real world capability. Post exploitation and persistence separate tool users from security professionals. If you truly understand this phase, you understand how real attackers operate, and more importantly, how real defenses fail. If you want to go deeper into the mindset, the strategy, and silent failures behind modern cyber attacks, I've covered this in my book called The Silent Grid, which is now available on Amazon. Silent Grid is not just about tools, it's about understanding how systems, people, and trust break down quietly before a breach becomes visible. Check it out if you want to think beyond surface level security. Like the video, subscribe, and comment what topic you want next: lateral movement, privilege escalation, or penetration testing reporting. This is Raed Ahsan. I'll see you in the next one.